back and look every Redskin fan and everybody in our organization and say, hey, that was my best shot. I gave it everything I had, and I feel good about that.
And that was Joe Gibbs nearly 15 years ago, the first time that he retired. He has the distinction of being the 20th and the 26th coach in Redskins history, and he leaves behind quite a legacy. Speaking of legacies, Redskins historian Mike Richman joins us now live to give us a little closer look at the Gibbs legacy, and of course also the author of the Redskins Encyclopedia, which has just about every fact that you could ever put together about this organization. And, you know, one of those facts is just the fact that going from coach 20 to 26 didn't come in that many years. We've had a lot of coaches over the last decade.
Right. There have been at least I believe 5 coaches since Gibbs left the first time.
Let's talk about when Gibbs left the first time and his departure now. What do you look at the differences or the similarities between the two departures?
Well, the first departure was much more seismic. Nobody expected it except for the people within the organization who knew that it was coming. This one was somewhat surprising, but people could have sensed it based on what transpired during the regular season.
And I think you had the thoughts you shared earlier was kind of parallel to what a lot of us were saying yesterday. Gibbs had a couple of bad seasons over the last few years, and then this year, halfway through the season, it looked like it was heading that way again. So do you think that if the decision would have been made then, it probably wouldn't have been so much of a surprise, right?
Absolutely not. Nobody in their right mind, or I think a lot of people felt when the Redskins fell to 5-7 after that loss to Buffalo and the 2-timeout debacle, and just a few days after the death of Sean Taylor, that Gibbs was going to step down at the end of the season, that it was just too much for him.
You know, it's not just the history of the Redskins that you compiled, but also when we talk about the history of the NFL and the history of coaches in the NFL, where does Joe Gibbs stand, not just with the Redskins organization, but compared to other coaches in the NFL?
Well, he's still among the all-time best in the NFL, despite what happened in these past 4 seasons. That .621 regular season winning percentage and .708 in the postseason. I mean, those are among the best with the coaches who've ever been in the NFL. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame recognizes that. The most they'll do with Gibbs right now is just add a line that he returned to coach for 4 seasons in Washington, but his bust will not be altered in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Where did his coming back this second time around, it probably didn't make that much of a difference. Obviously, it lowered his winning percentage with the last 4 year stint here. Where does a lot of people said that this last season, though, was one of his better coaching jobs. Where will this season, this 2007 season, stand as far as Gibbs' legacy and among the Redskins?
Well, in terms of what Gibbs did in the final 4 games, it was reminiscent of what took place in the 82 and 87 strike-shortened seasons, particularly in 87. When he told the players not to cross the picket line. He didn't want the team to get fractured. And this time around, there was just something about him. In speaking with some of the players, they said he was like a father figure. He held the team together. He didn't want it to implode. And you just saw the vintage Gibbs this time around as well.
So maybe didn't do much to help his overall coaching record, but certainly to solidify his legacy here in Washington.
Absolutely, yes. The fact that he was able to hold the team together and that they were able to win their last 4 games of the season. You have to credit Todd Collins as well.
Right, without a doubt. A lot of credit in all those places. And now the talk will continue as to who will succeed him. More on that coming up in just a little bit. Mike Richman, thanks so much for joining us. Of course, the author of the Redskins Encyclopedia. And Gervier, we're going to send it back over to you.
Interesting stuff. Thank you, guys.